target area, especially in the work that I do, is goes into southeast Missouri, into Arkansas and Mississippi, and it's about 52 counties along the river. What these counties all have in common is a very, very sad history when you have this combination of an exploitation of labor. We know that's gone on for 400 years here, and then an exploitation of the natural resources. And that's a key, any of us that are doing this development work anywhere in the world, that's a key sort of parallel issue. And psychologically, I haven't quite figured it out. I think a lot of us are sort of philosophers and try to figure that out. But when you have this long-running exploitation of people and the natural resources in parallel, something happens. It's just, that's what we've got to figure out how to unwrap and open back up. And it's the essence of where we need to get back to, and we're going to talk about this as the panelists talk, is a connection back to the land and a connection back to the creativity that gets beyond that. A couple other things in that region. We've got all the wrong highs. We've got high diabetes, high mortality, any of the things that you don't want on the list of high things we've got in those 52 counties, and we've got all the wrong lows. Even the small businesses that we start, a lot of those are more predatory type businesses, but not a lot of creative businesses and entrepreneurship. And we do have some regional assets, and we've got the same assets that allow the labor and the raw materials to be exploited that we can actually turn around and use to our advantage. So those are the people, and a lot of the people you see here in this room that can work together. Those are the regional and geographical advantages and some other issues that we can pull things together. So what exactly is my project doing, and then this will overlap to some of these other ones. Thanks, William. We're connecting, here's the big problem. We have factories all up and down the river that bring in petroleum and all kinds of other garbage from outside of here and then make nasty products once they're here, and then most of the time export those products back out. We simultaneously have all this farmland where we're growing corn and soybeans and other products that aren't the best things to be growing, and none of that we add value to here, meaning we don't crush it into oil, we don't do anything with that material. So we have, we're growing stuff that we're shipping out without capturing any value in jobs, and then we're bringing in crappy stuff and making it into stuff that's not really that good anyway. So our whole sort of strategy in terms of changing the mindset in Memphis and our region is linking up those factories, those existing infrastructure back with the land. And one example of this is a project over in Batesville, Arkansas. This was a former Eastman chemical plant. They had 400 employees. They were faced with losing business to China and India in the specialty chemicals market. And they basically were either going to go out of business or come up with a different strategy. So their strategy was they started looking at what can we grow regionally, starting with soybeans, but getting into a lot of other types of oil and crops, and that we can then make into useful products here. So they're repositioning their entire chemical company into a green chemical company with things that they can grow and process locally. And this is the kind of sort of synergies that we want to create up and down the river. A lot of people don't know this, especially if you're not from ag. I wasn't a great farmer, but I'm into farming and growing things. But we don't just have to grow corn or cotton or soybeans. There's actually thousands of potential crops that we can grow in our region. So if we have factories that need products, we've got the ability to grow products for them. We want to have that very, very diverse. And I hope it's clear from that, the job creation and the value creation along that whole chain. So you've got from the land, growing things, all the way through, whether it be a direct food market or a factory with our local manufacturer. And the opportunity is along that whole chain. So it's food, nutritional food, solving a lot of those problems, directly connecting our farms to our local food companies and creating new food companies like you'll hear about. It's creating biomaterials, plastics, all these other things that we have landfill problems with now, and then creating energy sources. And that all has to be in a sort of a harmonious perspective. So a couple of the things that we need to really at the heart get to, you'll notice at this whole conference, I didn't see too many examples in the sessions and everything. I actually brought my little plants for everybody wants to see, and a couple other products, just because I really can't get away from the idea of really what we're trying to do is connect our psyches back to the idea that solar energy captured in a plant is what creates value, and the creativity around taking the value from that plant and turning it into a product like this product that goes into the auto industry is where we're going to create these green jobs. And I don't want to just also create green jobs. We want to create green companies, local companies, that we've got the jobs, but we also have entrepreneurship and creativity. So this is sort of our starting garden programs. Mid-South Peace and Justice Center is sort of coordinating an effort called Grow Memphis. So we're putting gardens in all across the whole city and then training kids on how to kind of get engaged in that. But it also gets into the science. So we've started here in Memphis the first charter school in Tennessee called the Memphis Academy of Science and Engineering. And we've got curriculum that goes, kids are learning everything from AutoCAD to robotics, but also about carbon sequestration and how to make fuels and products and other things like that. And so I guess there's two take-home points. One, as we move forward, we need to move away from any strategy that exploits our labor and exploits our raw materials. So whether we bring something in or we create something locally, we have to learn from the past and move beyond that. There is no other strategy that's going to create value for us, and that's going to require an institutional change. So the ones of us, and we'll probably hear a few stories today, the ones of us that have beat our heads against the wall with a new project or a new idea, many of us have gotten very, very frustrated over these last several decades trying to push something forward, realizing that we had not had a base fundamental change in the institutions. So we have to relook at infrastructure, how we're all connected together and how we connect from the farm to the factory to our plates and to the consumer products we use, the workforce development needs, how to create these jobs, but also provide entrepreneurial skills and other things to build the businesses. And then entrepreneurialism, that's the hardest one. How do we learn to be willing to take risks? How do we learn to be willing to be creative, put each of our heads and our egos and our ideas out on the line and create value around new businesses and projects? And we really fundamentally have to have an institutional change, and that's what we're kind of a part of, and we're sort of at the beginning of pulling together. And it sort of ends with this. I've said it over and over, and I want us to get it in our minds. Capturing solar energy into plants and then converting that to the food and the useful products we need is the engine for our region and where we're going to drive our economy forward. And so with that, I'm going to kind of conclude this opening part. And then the way the rest of this is going to work, I hope this is okay with everybody. Each of our panelists are going to talk about 10 or 15 minutes. They're going to share maybe a little bit about their own experiences and their own projects. And then at the end, we're going to have everybody ask questions and be able to get some feedback. And we're going to ask the questions are really oriented things that everybody can answer and sort of about what we're dealing with here. And the whole tone for this discussion, I really want to be about sort of